In the murky world of Cold War espionage, few stories are as riveting, or as tragic, as that of Dmitri Fyodorovich Polyakov. A decorated Soviet general, a devoted patriot, and ultimately a double agent, Polyakov's defection to the West and his mysterious downfall represent one of the most dramatic betrayals in the history of the Cold War. To American intelligence he was top hat, a priceless source of information on Soviet intentions. To the Soviets he became a symbol of treason. And when his story came to an end, it did so not with a courtroom trial, but with a vanishing act that continues to haunt intelligence circles to this day. A soldier of the Soviet Union. Dmitri Polyakov was born in 1921 in the Soviet Union, rising through the ranks of the Red Army during World War II and eventually joining the elite ranks of the GRU, the Soviet Military Intelligence Agency. He was no ordinary officer. Bright, disciplined, and loyal to the ideals of the Soviet state, Polyakov was the very definition of a model officer. But beneath his rigid military exterior, a storm was brewing. Polyakov grew increasingly disillusioned with the Soviet regime. He watched with disgust as corruption, incompetence and brutality festered within the Communist Party. The death of his son, allegedly due to lack of proper medical care, was a turning point. To Polyakov the state had betrayed its own people. And in return he would betray the state. The CIA's most valuable asset. In the late 1950s, while stationed abroad, Polyakov approached the FBI and later the CIA with an offer. Intelligence from the heart of the Soviet military establishment. What followed was a breathtaking 25-year-long relationship with U.S. intelligence. Operating under the codename Top Hat, Polyakov funneled hundreds of secrets to the CIA. He revealed Soviet weaknesses, exposed double agents, and gave America a critical edge in understanding the opaque workings of the Kremlin. Perhaps most importantly, he provided early warnings about Soviet intentions in Asia and the Middle East, allowing U.S. leaders to avoid dangerous miscalculations. Unlike some spies motivated by greed or ideology, Polyakov claimed he was acting out of duty, believing that only by forcing change from the outside could his country be saved from decay. He refused large sums of money, preferring modest rewards and a quiet sense of purpose. Betrayal from within. Polyakov managed to maintain his cover for over 2 decades, but the Cold War was a game of betrayals, and he eventually became a victim of treachery from the West. In the 1980s, 2 American traitors, Aldrich Ames of the CIA and Robert Hansen of the FBI, exposed Polyakov's identity to the Soviets. His arrest was swift. Around 1986, Polyakov was recalled to Moscow. After years of silence from Soviet media or officials, a grim confirmation came in 1988 when the Soviet newspaper Izvestia declared that a high-ranking GRU officer had been executed for espionage. The identity was not named, but Western intelligence agencies had no doubt. It was Polyakov. Vanishing into history. What happened to Polyakov after his arrest remains shrouded in mystery. Some reports suggest he was executed in 1988. Others claim he simply disappeared into the Soviet prison system. No official photographs, grave or documentation of his fate have ever been made public by Russia. For years, American intelligence officers spoke of him with deep respect and sorrow. Many considered him the greatest asset they had ever handled. CIA officials later called Polyakov the jewel in the crown, believing that much of what the U.S. understood about Soviet military strategy during the Cold War stemmed directly from his intelligence. For many agents, he was more than just a source. He was a comrade in a silent war fought in shadows. Legacy of a ghost. Dmitri Polyakov remains a haunting figure in espionage history. His motivations, patriotism, disillusionment, revenge, are still debated. Some Russians label him a traitor, others a tragic idealist. To the United States, he was a Cold War hero who risked everything to expose a regime he believed was morally bankrupt. His story raises the eternal questions of loyalty, sacrifice, and truth in the world of espionage. Was he a villain or a savior? A patriot or a pawn? In the end, Polyakov's greatest success may have also been his downfall. The man who once fed secrets from behind the Iron Curtain disappeared back into it, leaving behind only fragments of a story that may never be fully told.